In the secluded monastery of Eldoria, perched high amidst mist-shrouded peaks, Brother Thomas wrestled with a profound crisis of faith. Down in the valley, a mysterious blight had taken root, withering crops and bringing a creeping despair that choked the very breath from the land. Each sunrise brought more suffering, more hushed whispers of fear, and with it, a hollow emptiness in his soul, questioning the very presence of the divine. His once unwavering devotion, a flame that had burned brightly since childhood, now felt like a fragile flicker, threatened by the relentless winds of doubt. The monastery, usually a haven of quiet contemplation, was filled with the low hum of worry, the distant coughs from the village, and the heavy silence of unanswered prayers. Thomas often found himself staring out from the monastery walls, his gaze sweeping over the valley, now a patchwork of sickly brown and gray, where once vibrant green fields had stretched. The air itself seemed to carry the weight of sorrow, a constant, chilling reminder of the helplessness that gripped them all. He yearned for a sign, a whisper of hope, anything to anchor his spiraling thoughts. But the heavens remained stubbornly silent, and the earth offered only decay. Driven by an aching need for understanding, a desperate hope that some ancient truth might offer solace, Thomas spent his nights in the monastery's ancient scriptorium. The air there was thick with the scent of aged parchment, a comforting aroma that usually brought him peace, but now only highlighted the vastness of his ignorance. He meticulously scoured forgotten texts, his fingers tracing faded ink, seeking not just answers, but a connection, a reason to believe again. He read of saints and miracles, of divine interventions and unwavering faith, but each story, instead of inspiring him, seemed to deepen his sense of isolation. Their faith felt distant, unattainable. One tempestuous evening, as a storm raged outside and lightning illuminated the dusty shelves in stark, momentary flashes, Thomas was poring over a centuries-old tome, its binding cracked and its pages brittle. As he gently turned a particularly stiff page, a hidden compartment, cleverly disguised, sprang open with a soft click. Inside, nestled in darkness, lay a brittle, yellowed scroll. Its edges crumbled slightly as he carefully unrolled it, revealing elegant, archaic script. It spoke of a keeper of the whispering spring, a humble soul whose unwavering spirit, even amidst profound doubt, would guide the sacred waters to heal the land in its darkest hour. The prophecy didn't name him, but described a quiet, introspective heart, one who sought truth not in grand pronouncements, but in quiet perseverance. A strange, unfamiliar warmth spread through Thomas's chest, a spark of something he hadn't felt in weeks: hope. The scroll also contained a crude, almost forgotten map, pointing towards the monastery's long-neglected spring, a place everyone believed had dried up centuries ago, now overgrown and forgotten. A mere legend. A new resolve, fragile yet potent, took root within Thomas. The next morning, before dawn broke, he slipped away from the monastery, the scroll clutched in his hand, its words echoing in his mind. He followed the faded map, pushing through dense thickets and scrambling over moss-covered stones until he found it, a barely discernible hollow, choked with thorny vines and fallen branches. This was the Whispering Spring, or what remained of it. With each stone he cleared, each gnarled root he pulled from the earth, his doubts warred with a nascent hope. The physical labor was arduous, his hands quickly becoming raw and blistered, but he found a strange, almost meditative rhythm in the work. He didn't pray for a grand miracle, not yet. Instead, he prayed for clarity, for the strength to simply times do asterisk, to continue this humble, solitary task. Days turned into nights, and Thomas worked tirelessly, fueled by the prophecy and a growing, quiet conviction. He cleared away layers of debris, revealing ancient, smooth stones beneath, worn by forgotten currents. He felt a deep, almost primal connection to the earth, to the forgotten spring, as if he were coaxing life back into a sleeping giant. He imagined the water, cool and clear, flowing once more, a lifeblood for the parched valley. He pictured the faces of the villagers, their despair replaced by relief, their fields green again. This vision, more than any prayer, kept him going. As the last obstruction, a massive, deeply embedded boulder, finally shifted under his persistent efforts. A faint, luminous trickle emerged from beneath it. It was barely a whisper at first, a delicate thread of light, but then it grew, slowly, steadily, into a clear, life-giving stream that glowed with an ethereal, soft light. Thomas fell to his knees, not in exhaustion, but in awe. He understood then. The miracle wasn't just the water itself, but the quiet act of faith, the persistent effort in the face of despair, the belief that even the smallest action could bring about profound change. His heart, once burdened by doubt, now overflowed with a renewed, deeper understanding of God's subtle grace, manifesting not in thunderous pronouncements, but through humble hands and a spirit that dared to believe even when it questioned. The whispering spring flowed, and with it, a tangible, undeniable hope returned to Thomas. A hope he knew he had to share. News of the flowing spring spread like wildfire through the monastery, then cautiously through the valley. Yet, the blight was deeply entrenched, and despair had hardened many hearts. While some villagers, desperate for any glimmer of hope, flocked to the spring, others, weakened by sickness and years of disappointment, remained skeptical, too weary to believe in another false promise. Even within the monastery, some elder monks, steeped in tradition, viewed Thomas's discovery with a mixture of awe and suspicion. "A spring, Brother Thomas, after all these years, and you say it glows?" questioned Elder Benedict, his voice laced with doubt. "Miracles are rare, my son, and often misunderstood. The challenge was not just to make the water flow, but to make people times believe, times in its power, to overcome the inertia of prolonged suffering." The valley was vast, and the spring, though now vibrant, was a single source. How could they distribute its life-giving waters to every parched field, every ailing home? Thomas, no longer the timid, questioning monk, felt a surge of conviction. He knew he had to guide them, to become the keeper the prophecy spoke of. He rallied the younger monks, explaining the prophecy, sharing the scroll, and speaking with a newfound authority that surprised even himself. "This is not just water," he declared, holding a cupped hand of the glowing liquid. "This is hope, born of perseverance. We must carry it to every corner of our valley." They began constructing makeshift aqueducts from hollowed logs and woven reeds, a network of channels designed to carry the precious liquid. It was back-breaking work, requiring ingenuity and relentless effort. Days were spent digging trenches, hauling logs, and patching leaks. Nights were spent planning, praying, and tending to the sick who managed to reach the spring. There were setbacks. Sections of the aqueduct would collapse. The blight seemed to flare up in areas they hadn't reached yet, and the sheer scale of the task often threatened to overwhelm them. Whispers of foolishness and false hope still circulated among the more cynical villagers, testing Thomas's resolve. He faced moments of profound exhaustion, when the weight of the valley's suffering seemed to press down on him, threatening to extinguish his own rekindled flame. But each time, he would return to the spring, dipping his hands into its luminous waters, feeling its gentle pulse, and remembering the prophecy. He understood that true faith wasn't the absence of doubt, but the courage to act despite it. He visited the sickest, carrying small gourds of the spring water, offering not just a cure but a kind word, a listening ear, a shared moment of quiet hope. He showed them the glowing water, explaining its origin, not as a grand miracle, but as a testament to what humble effort and unwavering belief could achieve. Slowly, painstakingly, the tide began to turn. A small patch of withered wheat near the monastery, showed a faint green shoot. A child's fever broke after drinking the spring water. A family, on the brink of abandoning their farm, found renewed strength to clear their fields, encouraged by Thomas's tireless efforts. The glowing water, once a curiosity, became a symbol, a beacon of resilience. Months passed, marked by the steady, rhythmic flow of the whispering spring and the tireless efforts of Brother Thomas and his growing band of helpers. The aqueducts, once crude and fragile, became a robust network, carrying the luminous water to every corner of the valley. The sickly brown fields began to transform, slowly at first, then with increasing vibrancy, into a lush tapestry of green. The blight, once an unstoppable force, receded, vanquished by the life-giving waters and the collective will of a community reborn. The sounds of coughing and sorrow were replaced by the joyful laughter of children playing in newly green meadows, the rustle of healthy crops swaying in the breeze, and the grateful murmurs of villagers tending to their thriving farms. The monastery, once a place of quiet despair, now buzzed with renewed purpose, its monks actively engaged in the healing of the land and its people. Brother Thomas, no longer just a monk, but a true shepherd of his flock, watched over the valley. His face, once etched with worry, now carried the serene lines of wisdom and profound peace. He had embraced his destiny, not through grand pronouncements or miraculous displays, but through humble service, persistent effort, and unwavering faith in the face of overwhelming odds. The Whispering Spring became more than just a source of water. It became the heart of Eldoria, a constant reminder of resilience, community, and the quiet power of hope. Villagers would gather by its banks, sharing stories, offering thanks, and drawing strength from its ethereal glow. Thomas often sat by the spring in the evenings, watching the stars reflect in its luminous surface. He no longer questioned the divine. He felt it, not as a distant, abstract concept, but as a living, breathing presence woven into the fabric of the valley, in the vibrant green of the fields, in the healthy glow of the children's faces, and in the renewed spirit of his community. His journey had led him from the depths of doubt to the pinnacle of understanding, teaching him that true faith was not about receiving answers, but about becoming the answer, about being the conduit for grace, and about finding the sacred in the simple, persistent act of tending to life. The valley flourished, and with it, Brother Thomas found not just peace, but a profound and enduring sense of purpose, forever the keeper of the Whispering Spring, a beacon of hope for generations to come.